Glad we got that figured out. Everything working? I am not sure. How are we sounding? Are we sounding good? I'm not even positive, actually. Just checking to see if we're good. All right. Sounds pretty good. How's it going? Thank you for tuning into the first episode. Well, I don't know if it's an episode. We're just going to be talking a bit here. It is called GeekWave because it sticks in theme with the Tsunami Studios thing. Because tsunami, a wave, you get it. It makes sense. Welcome. We'll just be here for a little bit. If you guys have read the title, we are talking about dream Marvel projects. The Marvel project, whether it be in film, in a comic book, or on a movie that's a film on TV that you are like, hey, I would like to be a part of this. I think this is what should be made. And I think something good could come out of it. I think there's a lot of good properties like that we could do stuff with. I have a couple of my own suggestions that I'm going to throw out to you guys, and you can leave it in the comments below what you think is, what you think about something I said, or maybe even something you guys want to say. But before we get into that, let's start with a few just housekeeping items here for the channel. We dropped episode 3 of Fights of Fiction on Monday. It is Scrooge McDuck versus Toucan Sam. I'm really excited about that one. I had a lot of fun talking about that one. It's two anamorphic bird characters who are kind of adventurers, so we talked about that. And coming next week, I'm pretty sure, let's say mid next week, Wednesday or Thursday, the Springfield Files, the first episode of the Springfield show I'm doing. Because, yeah. So it should be really fun. We'll talk about that. Let's have a good time, right? So the Springfield Files, Bart After Dark, I'm thinking that's going to be the first episode. Not too sure. I don't remember the name of the episode. It might be the episode where Marge is the police officer. I think that's the final episode of season 4. I can't remember. Or it's at the start of, it's a season 4 episode, I'm pretty sure. I think it might be that one or Bart After Dark. We'll just have to see what it's going to be. I'm not sure yet. Episode of Into the Night, which is a podcast run by a couple of Moon Knight fanatics, and I'm just going to be guesting on that. I'm going to be talking about my Moon Knight videos on my channel, talking about the Moon Watch, just some great Moon Knight stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, you can check it out. I think it's coming out next week. We're recording it tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning for me. The guy's in Australia, so it's a big time difference, but we're going to be recording it early for me then, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm very excited to talk about Moon Knight in that capacity. And I'll tell you guys right now, I did not put Moon Knight on my list for any of this stuff because I've kind of done a separate video where I was talking about Moon Knight pitches and what I wanted to do with that character. There's one in here that isn't about Moon Knight, but it has Moon Knight in it. And I'm doing it not from the perspective of Moon Knight this time. It's from the perspective of the other character in the buddy comedy I want to do. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I got for housekeeping stuff. You guys ready to jump into this? First off, none of my characters that I picked for like a dream Marvel project, they're not your big guys. If I was forced to sit down and give you a pitch for Spider-Man, I could do it. It's Spider-Man. Anybody can tell a good Spider-Man story, and you can come up with a good thing, whether it's a movie or a cartoon. And there's been countless cartoons that have proven that you can tell a good story in a small setting, right? I really do think that. And I think, too, he's just everything's already been said with Spider-Man, so you're not really going to overthink or over-analyze a Spider-Man story when there's been a bunch of stuff already done with the character. So that's why I'm not, jumping out of my seat to tell a Spider-Man story, and I wouldn't. If I was hired by Marvel and they said, hey, we'd like you to tell a Spider-Man story, I'd say, okay, I could do it. I could whip out something with Kraven the Hunter. I could whip out something with the Rhino, do something with Mysterio, which, by the way, that Amazing Mary Jane comic that's currently going out, is it Leo Williams that's writing it? It's really good. You guys should definitely check that out. That's a good Mysterio story. That's what I would have done with Mysterio if I was given Spider-Man, was have him be a angry director who wants to tell a story from his perspective about fighting Spider-Man. That's all I could think about doing with Mysterio. And even with Peter Parker, I'd rather I don't know. I think I'd rather talk about Mayday. Mayday from like, oh man, when did that come out? When Mayday Parker was like the new Spider Girl. I can't even remember when that came out, but that's where I'd rather stay with Spider Man. So I didn't put Spider Man on my list for this, and there's definitely a good Spider Man story out there that you could tell, but it's just I don't know. Same with some of those other guys. Like I don't really want to write a Deadpool story. That seems like a lot. Of do an episode on here actually of a Geek Wave where I talk about what I want from a Deadpool movie in whatever Deadpool 3 is going to look like. So I'm just trying to think. There's some characters out there that I know I could tell a good story of, and I think I would be okay at it. I mean, the ones on my list. I got 6 on my list. I put up 5 fingers. That's 6 to me apparently. There's 6 on my list. These are the ones that I would really like to tell right now, and the ones that I think could be prominent right now. And they're the ones that there's not like a lot of there's love, but it's not like a tremendous amount of love. So it's easy for me just to jump in there, do my thing, get it in, get it out. It's perfect, And I think that could be really fun. And I don't have any X-Men. I don't have any X-Men. I don't have any Fantastic Four. A lot of them are Avengers characters, but I only have one team up story. And they're not even just all in comic books. I got some for the movie, I got one for a television show, and I do got a couple for the comic books. So let's start off, and I'm going to talk about we'll talk about my pitch for the movie because it's pretty weird. This is the one I think could definitely never get made because there's no way ever that Marvel Studios would go in this direction. And that is, I like the idea of, I really liked, we'll go back a second here. I really liked when we were teasing of putting Simon Williams in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm a big fan of Wonder Man. He's one of those characters that I always liked. I always related to. Every time he's in something, I like it. He's definitely been downplayed a lot in modern continuity and in modern stories. I think currently, what was his last thing he was in? Was it No Road Home or No Surrender? Was that the last big thing he was in? I can't even remember. But I like the era. I think it's like, what? Is it the 80s where he was an actor? I think it was the 80s where he was the actor. Or was it the 70s? How old is he? He's an earlier guy in there too. Like he's one of the earlier characters, but that era when he was like a struggling actor, I think that is a really cool premise for that guy. He's he's not really like well liked, but he's like this, I'm cool, I'm hip, I'm the guy everyone likes, I'm Simon Williams, baby, who doesn't hate me, right? He's got that smarmy attitude of a very Boogie Nights attitude. And I really want Mark Wahlberg to play him. Like that's like my dream casting for Wonder Man is Mark Wahlberg, which I don't think it's ever going to happen. But if it did, I'd be so excited and so stoked to see that. But here's my pitch. And this is the only one I have that's actually a movie. I would love it if Marvel Studios or whoever went out and decided they wanted to make a Wonder Man movie, got very meta, very inside the actor's studio, very like we're inside the mind of this guy. And it's a movie set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe about Wonder Man trying to make a movie about himself and trying to cast the Avengers. Think about that for a sec. I know that they were talking about Nathan Fillion making an appearance in Guardians Volume 2 with those posters, but imagine this, okay? It is 2020 something. We'll just say 2024. You got Mark Wahlberg, who's an older guy now, and he was maybe we'll say he's an Ant-Man 3, Simon Williams. Now he's like, I've been on the Avengers for a couple years. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be an actor. And I want to go to Hollywood, and I want to make a movie about my time on the Avengers. Now, I don't own the rights to the Avengers. I'm not really a good actor, but I'm going to break out. What better way to break out than to cast the most popular characters of all time within the genre, within a superhero world itself? I think that could be a really interesting story. It could be something that we haven't seen, and it could get so meta. And I know, like, there was a video essay I watched. I can't remember who released it, but 2019 was the year superhero movies got self-referential. And I agree with that. But let's go full meta, full referential on everything happening in there. Okay. I'm thinking like he's maybe talking to Hawkeye, and Hawkeye's like, you can't use my likeness in your movie unless you get a certain actor. Or it's like the costumes, like maybe like the Vision's got like an obviously stupid, like painted face and it's starting to sweat off, and he's got a stupid cape on. It's just something like that, right? Just like you get really cheap with it. Maybe he doesn't have the funding for that movie. And then I love a movie that's about making a movie. Those are some of my favorite films. I love Ed Wood. I love Disaster Artist. I love what's that? My Weekend with Marilyn. Is that the one that Michelle Williams was in? Or was she in another one? I can't remember. But the one with Michelle Williams is Marilyn Monroe with Eddie Redmayne. That's a good one too. Like I love a movie about making a movie, and I think you can make a really cool movie with Simon Williams, Wonder Man, trying to be this next big Hollywood star, making the next big action film. Because we do reference a lot of old action films in the Marvel movies, but we don't really talk about any of the new ones. So imagine inside in an actual Marvel movie that there's a character played by Mark Wahlberg. I'm going to say it's Mark Wahlberg. He's talking to these producers like, you know what? We had Westerns, we had time travel stuff, we had Bruce Willis. You know what the next big thing is? Look at these superheroes all around us, guys. I used to be a superhero. Let's make a superhero movie. Like, why aren't we doing this? There's billions of dollars to be had here. I think it's a brilliant idea. And it's one I know will never happen, but it's like a dream project. I think it'd be so cool. Because who doesn't love it when something references itself? Look at Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Not a great movie. Reference itself. It's really funny. Just saying. Definitely worth checking out. That's my only movie pitch, and it's hit or miss. I know not a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, I want that in a Marvel movie," but look, you got some diehard fans. I think you could definitely make that something that's worthwhile and interesting. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. So that's my movie pitch. Wonder Man, meta, as meta can be, making a movie about himself on the Avengers. And I'll write it. I could write that easy. I don't know what characters we're not allowed to use. If like, hey, could we put Tony Stark in there? Like, would Pepper own his likeness rights? I don't know, but it could be fun. And I really do think it's an interesting idea. So I really would want to do that one. So that could be fun, right? You guys think that'll be fun? I think it'll be fun. How's this going, by the way? Is it sounding good? I don't really know. These aren't even plugged into anything. Like these aren't even plugged in anything. I'm just wearing them because I don't know why I'm wearing them actually. So that's fun, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So let's go on to my television pitch now, and then we'll get into my comic ones later. I don't know how long this is going to run. Let's say 40 minutes. We might make it to 40 minutes. That could be fun. I think I'm going to come back tomorrow, actually. Now that I'm talking about it, and talk about Thunderbolts tomorrow. I might do that tomorrow. See how this plays off after I air it. My television pitch. This is the one that you see the thumbnail. This is the one that the thumbnail is, okay? It's a Janet Van Dyne solo series. I'm thinking, I don't know if it's a possibility, but I'm thinking FX that did Legion, and they could air it on there. It is inspired. I'm gonna say what's inspired by before I tell you my actual pitch. It's inspired by Devil Wears Prada meets Ryan Murphy's style of storytelling. And if you don't know who Ryan Murphy is, he's prominent on television. He's done American Horror Story, American Crime Story. He's done Pose. He's done Feud with Betty and Joan, which is one of my favorite shows that came out in recent memory. He is just a prominent guy on FX and on a bunch of other shows. You know who he is as soon as you see his show. And there's a signature style there. And I'm not saying that I want Ryan Murphy to make my show, to make this Jenna Van Dyne show. And I just think it should emanate that. It should be that kind of posh, sophisticated upper echelon society stuff where everything's shiny and glamorous and sparkly. And it's about fashion. Yeah. My Janet Van Dyne pitch is set in the 1970s. Hear me out. And she is a major fashion designer. And not just fashion for your rich and famous. She's a fashion designer for the superhero community. She works alongside the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, all those characters, and she's the one that designs all their suits and all their costumes. And oh, you need to go on a stealth mission here, wear this black costume kind of thing, right? She's just like she designs all of it, and that's her job. And you can have some, some criminal hijinks in there. Maybe she's got like a rival fashion designer who makes supervillain costumes. That's actually kind of funny. And I don't know who you would cast as this lead. If it's Ryan Murphy stuff, maybe Billy Lord could do it. I think she could maybe pull it off. She's a little too dry pan for somebody with the brash sassiness that is Janet Van Dyne, though. But we'll see. But I really like this idea. This is the one idea I've had for Janet for years that I'm amazed nobody's really done. The only thing that's kind of leaned into it, I think some comics have referenced it here or there, but that mobile game Avengers Academy referenced it, where Janet's being a fashion designer and she's kind of making some costumes for people. That's like the only main thing I can think of that's actually really referenced that. But could you imagine though, like a Marvel project set in the 70s, and it's just like glitz and glamour and everything's fabulous, and you just have Janet Van Dyne, who is like the elite of the elite when it comes to just being this prominent figure in fashion, and everybody knows she's the Wasp and they love her, and she's always dressing up as the Wasp, and it's just very Devil Wears Prada too. I think there's something very cool that could be said and done, and I don't know, I've always said, and I've said it for a few years now, if I never made it in any other thing that I want to, like as a writer, as a creator of any kind, my fallback big career would be fashion designer. Because there's always something, I say that and I'm wearing this, right? There's always something about fashion I find very intriguing. And I think there's a way to be creative in there that could easily come off as good or bad. And it's finding the fine line between the two that would really make it an interesting challenge for me, and I'm pretty sure some other people too. And I would be very excited to work in fashion if things like this didn't work in my favor. And just writing about that character, I was going to actually put this one as one of my comic pitches and have it set in like 2020 in like the modern times of Janet Van Dyne. But I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with Janet right now in the current run. I know Nadia Pym, stupid character. Actually, no, she's just a dumb idea of a character, but she's probably a very interesting one. I only read her in Outlawed for a bit, so I don't know. I don't want to talk shit about Nadia. I'm sure she's a very useful character, but I haven't seen that. So, but you do something with Janet like that in 2020, it could work. Maybe a lot of the younger heroes come to her and they're like, "Wow, you're the Wasp. You have some great costumes." And Janet's had some of the best costumes out of any character. Honestly, like Spider-Man, Iron Man, I guess you could say Iron Man, but he's building those suits. I would say the Wasp has some of the best. I love her like classic blue costume. I love the classic red costume. I love her updated costume now. She's got some great ones. In that Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes cartoon, that costume is great. It looks so good. Just the way they have her is perfect. I really do think you could do something good for you. You know what? I'm not going to say Billy Lord, actually. I'm going to go with, what's the girl in Community? Not Allison Brie. I think Jillian Jacobs. I think she could pull it off. We'd give her some brown hair. I think she's got like that right aesthetic, I think, especially for a 70s era of storytelling. And you could easily have Hank being a side character, or you could have Bill Foster being a side character. You could maybe even throw in Tony there if you wanted to. You could have Jarvis in there. You could have anybody you want just kind of show up in there, and they're like, "Hey, I need a new costume design. This one's a little old school. I want something a little more modern, a little more 70s." And just that idea of like that high glamour fashion world in that time period. Could you imagine? I think there's something really cool to be said there and very interesting. Maybe she works on movie production too, and that's how she meets Simon Williams, and that's how she designs some of the Avengers. We're tying it all together. That's how she ties some of the Avengers costumes for a big screen production. That could be cool too. I think there's definitely something to be said there, and it's just really fun to see. So I would really like to see that. And yeah, I mean, I love Janet. I've said before numerous times, Janet Van Dyne is one of the most important characters in the history of the Marvel universe. You go Sue Storm is the most important. You go Matt Murdock, and then it's Janet Van Dyne. And I could probably do a video just talking on that alone too, just talking about why is it those three. Well, I'm not going to get into that now, but you could throw Peter Parker in there too because he's kind of like the big guy that everyone started to fall in love with. And I'd even say Rick Jones if I was going to do 5. And that's a weird one because they're doing some weird stuff with Rick Jones now. But now it's just 1970s Ryan Murphy style fashionista world with Janet Van Dyne designing both mundane civilian clothing and superhero costumes. That could be a really fun show. It's not something you're going to take very seriously, which is also a big benefit for something like this. And it's just going to be a fun watch. And you'd enjoy yourself watching it. You're going to have a smile on your face. You're going to enjoy what you're doing, what you're seeing on screen. Whoop, I hit the computer there. It's going to be fun. And I think it could be a really interesting thing that not a lot of people would think to do with the character. And you could even adapt that kind of story into your comic books, because I think that's where you should take this character when we have new heroes with Scott Lang, with Cassie Lang, with Nadia Pym acting as your Wasp and Ant-Man pseudo characters. You could take Janet Van Dyne and she could be the new designer for the Marvel Universe. Why has that not happened yet? I think it's like the one logical step you take with this character now, because they're not going to do anything like it with her again. I'm just saying, like, that's where you should take it and that's what you should do with it. And they just haven't done it. So I really think that's a good idea for a TV show. And I'm going to stand by that. It's like, out of all of these, I would say that's my dream one I would like to make because it has a lot of the stuff I like in it. Janet Van Dyne, the 70s fashion, television, and superheroes. Like, you combine all those together, I think it's a winning combination, and I think it could really work and really pay off. And I really want to see it happen. So that's my pitch for a TV show. I got a couple here for comics, which we'll get into in a sec. But before I do, I don't know, actually. Before I get into those, I'm going to give you guys a couple of recommendations here of some comics or some movies I think you guys should watch, because it's the Easter weekend. Yeah, it's weird considering we've all been in quarantine, not doing much. But yeah, it's Easter. We got a couple of days just to relax, right? So you want to watch a movie this weekend, right? Of course you do. What else are you going to do? You got nothing else you can really do, nothing else you can really work on, right? Why not put on Ben-Hur? That's kind of an Eastery movie, and you're going to get some fun moments, some dialogue-heavy stuff. You're going to see some cool moments with people like Charlton Heston, who's a guy I like to watch. I don't know about you guys, but I like to watch that. So put on Ben-Hur and have a good time with Ben-Hur. I really think that one should be in a regular rotation for people around this time of year, and it could be a really fun watch. And I got to mention this, right? You want to read a comic book this coming Easter weekend, why don't you go to Comixology? I think it's on Comixology. If not, you can look it up on ahoycomics.com and pick up the Mark Russell book, Second Coming. I have mixed feelings on Second Coming as a whole. I think a lot of it works to the most part. It just doesn't appeal to what I'm interested in for storytelling, for characters, and some of it's a little cliched for my liking, but there's a really solid foundation for what he did with these characters and these people that I think really works. And just basically, if you don't know the story of Second Coming, it was supposed to be published by DC Comics, but then, what is it? One of those big Christian groups, or is it like a Million Moms or something? They got really offended, saying, we can't release this. What message is this teaching our kids, having Jesus come back to Earth and be a superhero working with the proto Superman character in that universe? And it's blasphemous. Well, I don't really think it's blasphemous, but that's like one of the arguments made. So they scrapped it. Mark Russell kind of just let it go. And then indie creators of Ahoy Comics scooped it up in a heartbeat, and it's like one of their flagship titles that I think got a lot of people to be invested in what these people are doing. I know it put them on the map for me, and I've loved a lot of what they've been doing too. Planet of the Nerds and Billionaire Island. I did a review of Billionaire Island, and I really like it. But Second Coming, what if Jesus needed to learn another lesson and he had to go down and be a superhero and learn how to be a righteous man again? I think it's a really interesting story that a lot of people should check out. It's 6 issues. Go check it out. It's really fun. And I think it's on Comixology. If not, go to Ahoy Comics on their website, and I'm sure you could order it there. I'm sure they'd be happy to get it. I'm just seeing my cat is walking down here. I'm going to see if she's going to meow or not. Okay, she's just walking away. And great. So let's get into some of my comic book dream pitches, dream ideas, projects I'd love to work on. First off, I'm going to start with this one that I'm calling Kangtum Leap. Does that make any sense to you guys? Kangtum Leap? Kangtum Leap is the story of Kang the Conqueror, but it's Quantum Leap. So he is jumping from time period to time period all across the universe, the multiverse, not knowing where he's ending up, where he's going. And it's just a story of following this kind of guy who wants to conquer the world, but he can't control where he's ending up in time. And every couple of days, every issue, even I would do it every issue, he ends up in another place of the world, of the multiverse, not knowing where he is in the future and the past. Kang is one of my favorite villains in Marvel lore. I love him. I absolutely love him. I think he's very, very interesting. I don't know why it's distracting me. No, but Kangtum Leap. It's pretty fun. And I think it could be really cool. I love Kang the Conqueror. Like I said, it's a great idea for a story. It could be something unique. And Quantum Leap is kind of an idea in itself, other than just the show, that I think could be explored in a lot of different forms of media. So I think that's going to be really cool. And I love what's going on. See that Kang can't really control where he's going or why he's blasting through time. He doesn't know how it's happening or how to stop it. And if we were going to do something with that, you could just spin off that too and go right into a Quantum Leap style story with that guy. And I think it could work really well. It could be a really fun thing that not a lot of people would expect from that character. And it takes him in a direction where he's not completely the villain, because I know there's a huge thing. We can't have in Marvel or DC our villain books be completely villainous. They have to have some certain things going on. And I still love that Doctor Doom book, but he's not being a super villain in that book because he's the title character, right? That's just how it goes when you have that kind of stuff. I think DC's a little more lenient on that because you get some Joker books and some Harley Quinn books that are kind of hardcore, but Marvel's very soft. And especially with that Taskmaster book coming out, I can't wait to see how that's going to go, if that's going to be even worth reading, honestly. But Kang the Conqueror, Quantum Leap, mix it together. You got a winning combination with a villain that's better than Thanos. He is better than Thanos. I don't care what anybody says. He's better than Thanos. And I will stand by that till the day I die. Well, maybe not. Unless they do something cool with Thanos. That might be another topic too. I don't like Thanos. I don't think they've done anything cool with that character since Infinity Gauntlet. And I have no desire to see him in any other book again or any other movie. I don't care about that character, and I never have. And you could say what you will about the MCU. They made him work for the most part, but then they lost me in Endgame with him because Endgame did not work at all for me. That's another topic too. So Kang the Conqueror meets Quantum Leap. I bet you're asking, what is another one of my comic book pitches? I said I had 6 things to talk about. We talked about 3 already. Well, I'll get you into my other one here. It's an Iron Fist book. I like Iron Fist. He is, besides, I think, some people I said, Moon Knight is my favorite. Sue Storm and Janet Van Dyne, I think, are my next. And then you could throw in Silver Surfer. I think rounding out my top 5 would be Danny Rand as Iron Fist. And there's been a lot done with Iron Fist, and not a lot of it has really landed, I don't think. First off, everyone has like an idea of where to take him in terms of him losing his power, whether it's losing a limb, whether it's he's not being able to channel his chi. Everyone's done that story. It's been done countless times. And so is a lot of stuff in Kunlun. Kunlun has gotten a lot of play, and I don't want to go back to Kunlun. What I think a story with Danny Rand in particular needs is he is a millionaire. He is a rich guy. We've seen him on a private jet before. We just know he's rich, and he's got a lot of skills in martial arts and in magic. And I think you could have maybe, would you put him on Agents of Atlas? Would that be a thing people wanted? I think because of the Shang-Chi movie, we're going to get a lot more of Shang-Chi than we are of Iron Fist, which kind of upsets me. And it's not because I like one character more than the other. It's just they're different kinds of characters in a martial arts form. So with an Iron Fist book, if you're not going to put him on Agents of Atlas because you got Shang-Chi there, if you're not going to do anything good of him in the movies, if you're going to screw him up on Netflix, I think the best thing you can do with that character is just don't put him in your main stories and just go send him around the world doing some mystical shit. Like my pitch for a Iron Fist book is a globe-trotting adventure where he's fighting some of the best in martial arts. He's helping. It's kind of quantum leapy, but not in that sense. It's more like a villain of the week kind of story where he's going from place to place. He's fighting mythical creatures. Maybe you could do mythical creatures. You could do martial artists. He's going across the world fighting maybe ancient groups and ninjas. He's joining different clans. He's going around stopping all these mythical and mystical threats from taking over the world. And you could even throw in a little plot there of something that can like maybe block out his chi or something that's related to his chi. I wouldn't go straight up like what they did in the Phantom Limb or the Living Weapon book where something's stopping his chi. I would do something a little more like here is anti-chi sounds really stupid, but you could do something to that nature and to that extent. I think that could work really well too. And I'm trying to what's a better name than anti-chi? What's Cho? Cho, it's his Cho. Well, just it's something that could like as strong as his chi, but it's made from like a darker energy. Like maybe it's from the heart of a different dragon that could kill you. Or is that what Steel Serpent did? I don't remember. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with an Iron Fist book, and some of it's kind of good, some of it's not really good. There's a lot more bad than there is of good in Iron Fist, but hey. So a globe-trotting adventure going across the world, just having fun as Danny Rand, mythical creatures, mystical threats, ninja clans, something that they're not going to do with him, but they should, because just pushing him to the sidelines doesn't really matter. Oh, I know he's making an appearance again in that Jason Aaron Avengers book coming up. That's the Age of Khonshu that's coming. I hope that's good. I'm having my doubts about what that's going to be, but we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out, right? I don't know. That's going to be a weird one. But take Danny somewhere fun, because he's a fun character. And nobody really like leans into the fact he's a surfer bro. He is that kind of guy. He would definitely wear this kind of shirt in public and be okay with it. And I think we haven't really played that up a lot in stories. He's kind of been like the mythical side character that everyone kind of sees. Oh, I know all this stuff. He's kind of brash, he's kind of dumb, but he's got money and he has a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of good stories you could tell there. Take him across the world. You could bring Misty Knight if you wanted. You could bring Luke Cage if you wanted. I don't really think we need another Power Man and Iron Fist book right now. That could be something we get after a movie comes out with Heroes for Hire. I think that's a better time to do one of those stories or something like that. I just want a good Iron Fist book, something we haven't really gotten. We haven't gotten an ongoing since Immortal Iron Fist, right? And when was that? It was like 2007. Did that come out? I have the first couple volumes, but man, that's a long time since we had like an actual ongoing Iron Fist book. I know he doesn't sell great, but he's like one of those characters, like a Black Panther, like a Moon Knight, that he's got his loyal fans and they will watch whatever he does or read whatever he does, even if it's not good. Look at Iron Fist, the show. I watched the entire first season in one day because I love Iron Fist, and I was hoping it was going to get better than Jessica Jones season 2. And then I watched Defenders and I stopped. And I watched Daredevil season 3 too. I didn't finish Iron Fist or Jessica Jones. It could be really fun. I think an Elsa Bloodstone book. Why we haven't got an Elsa Bloodstone book is beyond me. I think it's something I'm amazed we haven't gotten, especially from Kelly Thompson. Like, how has Kelly Thompson not given us an Elsa Bloodstone book? That, like, she loves that character more than anything. How have we not gotten that? And I would love to see it happen. I think you could easily you're doing your monsters back up. You did that Monsters Unleashed book. Deadpool's the king of monsters now. Why haven't we not got an actual Elsa Bloodstone book? It's like a dream project. I mean, I'd love to work on it too, right? Come on, it's Elsa Bloodstone. How have we not really just given this character the prominence she deserves? We've always talked about her, and we never really built her up that way. So I don't know why we just never did that. And I do think I've said this before, and I'll say it here again. Mahershala Ali is Blade, a Moon Knight Disney Plus show. I really do think we're going to get Midnight Suns in the MCU. I think that's where we're going, and I hope we go that way because I think that could be really cool. But Elsa Bloodstone, you could do the gothic horror stuff like we're seeing in the Ghost Rider book. I would take that direction. I think you go kind of like your Castlevania dark element to it, where you get this one character who is going around, not really through villages, but through these older towns and these older estates in maybe Europe or Asia. You could maybe South Africa. That could be an interesting place to go, and you could take them in this direction. And she's just this. She's cocky. She's arrogant. Not a lot of people respect her, but she gets the job done, and she does it with a smile on her face and blood splatter everywhere she goes. Elsa Bloodstone is a very underrated character, and I'm amazed they haven't done anything with her because she would get something good done. She is a great lead. She's an interesting character. If you wanted to throw her into something like a Heroes for Hire book or a Daughters of the Dragon thing, I think they did something like that with her. Was she on A-Force? I don't know. But a great like Monster Hunter book, kind of set in the olden time. We could even do some time jumps to maybe like her previous. Was it her father that was a hunter before her? I don't remember the specifics on that. I think someone in her lineage was a monster or a vampire hunter before she became a hunter like that. So that could be something we do too with that. That could be a fun place to take it. And you could do the time jump. Maybe the threat from her father or grandfather's past comes back to haunt her. We could do the time jump like that Last God book that DC Black Label was putting out. That's an interesting place to take it. I mean, I would definitely put it in that direction. I think that's a great place to take that character and a very interesting timeline for that character, especially since she's the best part of that Deadpool book. And I really like Kelly Thompson's writing. Like her Jessica Jones is great. I'm kind of digging her Captain Marvel here and there when I read it. She made Carol Danvers work. But in all of her stuff, man, she loves Elsa Bloodstone. I really want her to do that. This is like the one I'm pitching where I don't even write it. All right, that's how much I love Kelly Thompson writing Elsa Bloodstone. This is like my dream project for Kelly Thompson to write Elsa Bloodstone because she loves that character. Just give it to her. She's earned it. She's really has earned it over time. Just showing how much she cares about the character, putting her in the Jessica Jones stuff, putting her in the Deadpool stuff. I'm sure she's appeared in other places that Kelly's written things. She loves the character. I think we should give it to her. She's earned it. She deserves it. And I just want more Elsa Bloodstone. She's up there with Iron Fist. Give her something good to do. You haven't. Who's going to be mad if the book's good or bad? Nobody, really. So it would work, Elsa Bloodstone. Do it. And I got one more to talk to you guys about. And I'm hoping as we do this a little more, we get a bigger audience going and we could have an actual chat about what you guys think. I understand this is kind of a weird day to pick it because it's the Easter weekend coming up. I know John Campea is doing his big 12-hour stream, and that's where a lot of people probably are. And I don't know. I just wanted to do this for fun. So let's stop and we'll talk about my last pitch for you guys. And I've pitched this one in another video talking about stuff I want from Moon Knight. But now I'm going to do it from the other character's perspective that was in that book. And it's Tigra. Another character I really like, and I would love to see more from Tigra. I think she deserves it, and she could definitely do something pretty cool there. And my pitch in that book was kind of a team up with Moon Knight and Tigra, and I still really want that, and I'd still love to write that. And I would say, let's do that in this book here too. It's a Moon Knight and Tigra team up book, and my pitch was like, okay, maybe there's this tiger goddess or god that wants to do the Avatar thing, and they see Tigra, and that's in the direction they want to go. So she has to talk to Mark Spector about getting help to figure out how to control this god, how to fight him, how to get him out of her system, that kind of a thing. And I think that's a really cool way to take a character. Again, it's not getting a lot of play. Another character that appeared in a Kelly Thompson book in West Coast Avengers. I like Tigra too. Maybe it's the color orange. I don't know. Because Elsa, might be orange. I don't know. I really just want that book because I like the idea that Moon Knight has a thing for Tigra. I think that's a fun place to take his character. And I know Greer has been kind of portrayed as provocative and that kind of stuff, and I don't like that direction. I think if you were to actually just like full on Mark Spector and Greer Nelson are a couple, it's got me sold. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a funny idea, and you could have a great comedy book out of that too. I know comedy books don't sell well at Marvel. Aside from, did Gwenpool sell well? I think that's like the only exception. But that could be a lot of fun to do, right? And I really just want something good with that. And I know it's kind of a Moon Knight pitch too. We'll just have to see what Jason Aaron does with Moon Knight and the Age of Khonshu. I got mixed feelings on that. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but if we're doing a straight up Tigra book and you could put Moon Knight in there and have that storyline going on leading into a Moon Knight and Tigra book, I think that's a great idea too. Tigra is another character who's kind of an old school Avenger, old school West Coast Avenger too. Hasn't really got her play, and she deserves it. And I think there's some good places you could take that. How does the hero community feel about Mark and Greer as a couple? Do they call Moon Knight a furry? How does Tigra feel about the idea of a furry? Would she be considered a furry if she's actually a tiger person? How would anybody feel about that? I think that's a really interesting place to take it. And I would have a lot of fun writing that. I think there's something about that kind of a character. And I go back to this too, and it's the Barbarella thing, it's the Elvira thing, it's the Tigra thing. It's like the provocative, kind of softcore, porny nature of those characters that make them fun and appealing. But there's actually like a strong femininity to it that's actually really fun to watch and pay attention to and read about. So I think it's a fun way to take that character in a serious route that's kind of comedic too. And I would love to be a part of that somehow. I could probably I could do another pitch too, just about like where would I take Elvira, because I have a lot of ideas for Elvira stuff, and it's inspired a lot of some of my writing too. The character of Elvira, and I think you could do the Elvira thing with Tigra, and it could work kind of fun, even fourth wall breaking, because we're not doing that with She-Hulk anymore. We could send it over to Tigra, and that could be really fun. Wow, yeah, that was cool. I might be like the only person who actually wants a Tigra book, and I'm probably the only person who wants a Janet Van Dyne TV show. This was a lot of fun. I had a great time talking about this kind of stuff, and that's where we're going to end it today. I might come back tomorrow depending on how things go. We'll just have to see how I'm feeling, what's up going on, and all that jazz. So you can check me out on Patreon for exclusive content. The fourth episode of Fights of Fiction will be dropping on Patreon early. If you guys are interested in that, I'll give you a little teaser now. It's a sidekick showdown. So we're going to get two sidekick characters from popular culture, and they're going to be appearing. One is from a comic book, and the others are from a movie. So stay tuned for that. You could check me out on Instagram at Terran Almighty 56. Post a lot of action figure stuff there. You can check me out on Twitter at Tsunami Podcast. You can get information on all the shows I have coming out there, and you can stay tuned for more there. All the description will have all this shit in it, so you can just check out the description if you want to see any of that. The Patreon, the Twitter, the Instagram. If you have an idea you want to send to me, you can email me in my email, which will also be in the description. And have a good one. Also, before I go, let me know what you guys think of my pitches or my dream projects, or what your dream projects are. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. So stay tuned for more, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye. Good luck. See you around.